All right, so this is week 2 at Franco Lee Park. We had an early game, 8 o'clock. Fortunately, it wasn't the outcome that we wanted, but it is what it is. We'll go back to the drawing board. I've got some ideas that I think, just based off watching this, I think our formation, had a major part to do with it. Moving forward, we're gonna step away from the goalie, 4-3, and plus a striker. Four defenders. I think it's getting a little too crowded. I want to switch from four defenders to three defenders, and instead of having three midfielders, have four midfielders, so that things like this don't happen again. We're way too crowded. We're not talking to each other. We're looking at each other like, "Hey, that's your ball," and then the other person's looking at him like, "No, that's your ball." Nobody says, "Hey, that's you." "Hey, that's me." Uh, Step back or cover. Little small details like that make a huge difference. We're just our communication isn't there yet, and hopefully taking away that extra person in the back and pushing him towards the midfield is going to make a bigger difference. Looking over the game, there's a couple of things that I've been noticing that are repeat things that I've seen. I see this team do it, and I've seen our blue team do it. Our stars team, they do it as well. They're a younger team, so it's kind of expected. But once we get to these older kids, once they start doing something for the first time, and if they get a little bit of success from it, they're not gonna want to stop doing it. So hopefully, I'm gonna be able to steer away from that, and hopefully, we'll gain something from it. So 3-4-1 formation moving forward. Our biggest problem this game was our positioning. We weren't in position. We were able to get a good amount of shots on, but they weren't clear direct shots. Every single shot we took, we didn't have a vision behind it. We had possession. We just took the shot. It was just like shooting blind. And at the end of the day, it just doesn't work that way. Shout out to this team, man. They're a good, solid team. I believe this is their first year together as a team. I think that's what the coach said. I really can't remember. I attended so many games this Saturday that a lot of it's kind of a bit of a blur. Regardless of that, positioning is a big deal. We got a new lefty on the team. So these are those blind shots that I'm talking about. You got three people in front of you. Instead of taking that shot, let's pass the ball to somebody who's open or dribble away and reset ourselves, restructure ourselves so that we have a better chance of getting that shot off. Being aware of who's around us is another big deal, that something that we struggled with a lot. Again, positioning. So Cole is our probably our biggest example of that. Cole loves to play the whole field. Unfortunately, that's not the way it works. He's got the energy for it, and moving forward, I'm moving him as a midfielder, just because he's got the energy to move around the whole field, and he'll probably be a better fit there. But I set him as our right wing, and you can see him there at the midfield, gaining possession of the ball, which he does a great job of gaining possession. But now we don't have anybody on right field to immediately switch the field to. So moving forward, I'm going to restructure, how we work the midfield and all that. It's the mid, playing with the strong midfielder is such a hard thing to do. I haven't had a lot of success finding like a really strong midfielder who understands that he has left and right wings, and hopefully we could get that learning curve out of the way. So we do a great job of shifting with the ball on defense, but there is time. So when another thing, once the goalie, if y'all are listening, energy, I hope y'all are listening, watching this video. If the goalie is playing with the ball with his feet, you gotta rush him. He cannot. He can pick up the ball only one time. Once he drops that ball, it's fair play. Make him pick up that ball. If he picks up that ball twice, it's a penalty. So that's a big deal. Rush strikers. I only asked you to do a couple of things. I talked to you before the game. You gotta cover the defense. If the defense has the ball, you need to rush them. Don't reach. Just rush them. Stop. Eventually, they'll make a mistake. That's when you steal the ball and you take that shot. The goalie is part of that defense. Okay? When that goalie gets that ball, you rush him. Once he picks it up, you step back. Once he drops it again, if he does drop it, that's when you rush him again. He can no longer pick up that ball. Those things are going to come in. He'll pick up that ball. Bam, you get a penalty kick. So that's a really big deal. So Vic, I can see with your hand gestures that you were a little bit upset. You know that pass, it really wasn't there. You didn't look up. You got to be able to look up. Cole, another thing, if you're open, ask for the ball. Speak up. So looking up before you make a pass, that's a big deal. You had the right idea. You were gonna get the ball off to somebody who was open, but there was nobody there. So it didn't quite work out. So again, Caleb Caleb was our midfielder. Cole was our right wing. Again, you can't crowd the midfielder as a right wing, take the ball for him, and then pass it to the right because you're supposed to be playing that position. So if you're not there, then who is? So that's something we'll get over. No big deal. I know for a fact that Cole will be a great midfielder simply because of the fact that he's so active. He's just got so much energy, and I think as a midfielder it'll work in the right way. Carson slowing them down, great defense. That's what it's all about. Getting in between them and the ball. And if you get it out of bounds, that's fine. We have time to recover, but you have to recover. We can't have a repeat of what we had before. There's no offsides on the throw-in, meaning if there's blue on the other side of the defensive line, somebody has to cover him. Somebody has to cover him because they're going to throw that ball over your head. He's going to receive the ball, and he's going to take a shot on Pacer, which is something that we don't want. Situation awareness. There's blue all over white. We got to check in. We got to move away from the blue jerseys. Again, Cole, a little bit out of position. No big deal. It is what it is. We'll be able to. That's an easy fix, in my opinion. We'll be able to fix that. Again, so we were doing a lot of crowding, and we paid for it a few times. See, again, Cole out of position. That would have been clearly, it would have been his ball. We would have regained possession, but I actually told him there. I told him, hey, you're not playing defense. You're not playing the midfield. You're only playing the right wing. So little things like that make a huge difference. So that there's a couple of plays where our defense got too crowded. They had um, a one v three situation, and we kept a lot of people. Um, let me rephrase that. We had a one v three situation where we had a one blue jersey and three white jerseys, and instead of somebody saying you got him, or I got him, you go cover, they were just staring at each other like, hey, that's you, and then the other person was staring like, no, that's you, and then the other person was thinking, well, that ain't me, and beat three they beat three of our defenders, and it was another. We had to let Pacer do the work, which is something that is really, in my opinion, unacceptable. So understand your positions. If you're a right defense, you're playing the right side. If you're left defense, you're playing the left side. We're called offsides. So the offsides thing, I don't stress about it too much because it's a learning curve. It's a player's IQ thing. That's something that's just gonna you'll understand the more that you play. Week after week, we'll have more games. We'll have a little bit more experience. So no big deal. So now that we're playing with three officials on the field, meaning that we got one ref on one sideline, we got a ref on another sideline, and we got a ref, on the field. Little things like that make a huge difference. I don't know why he gave it back to him. Well, he gave it back to us. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but it is what it is. So going back to the officials, if you don't know what's going on, the official will either point one direction or the other. Look at him, get back in position. Again, it's going to be a player's IQ thing. It's going to come with experience. It'll come with experience, but like if there's a throw in, you already know what's about to happen. So instead of going to pick up the ball, you need to get in position. We cannot wait for the other team to get in position first. We got to beat them in a position so that we could get an easy goal off of them. So, as you can see, there's really nobody on the right side of the field. Again, we shift a little bit too hard. We don't we don't maintain our positions the way that we're supposed to, and you're leaving a big gap for them to switch the field. You gotta have, as a defender, you gotta understand who's on your side. As a wing, you gotta understand who's on your side. Can you catch up to them if they receive the ball, or are you gonna leave it to the defender to catch up to them? And defender, are you gonna be able to stop them, or do you need help? Do you need to tell your wing like, hey, drop back to your position? So here goes blue ball. Again, you got to be ready to cover. Henry jumped into action, slowed it down a bit. But this is one of those things where we're just watching the ball instead of saying, "Hey, I got it, I got it, I got it. Let me go cut him off." You're just watching him, waiting for him to come to you. But in theory, you got to be constantly shifting, constantly being aware. So as a midfielder, as a center back, you got to be able to say, "I got him, I got him," and then the other defender, our left defender, right defender, has to be able to cover and cover that pass. Something that I noticed on this game is that this goalie here, he kept picking up the ball and dropping it. He did it plenty of times, and one time in particular, we had our striker run towards the ball. He picked it up, and the striker kind of threw a fit. Said, "Oh man, you know whatever." He was looking away instead of watching the goalie, and the goalie literally dropped the ball back down and started playing with the ball while the striker was distracted throwing a little fit or whatever. So I've said it before, I'll keep saying it again. Those fits can cost you an easy goal. You throw a fit, you look away, you get distracted for whatever reason. The goalie, or in this case, the goalie was, he literally gave it to you, but you were so busy throwing a fit that you didn't go fight him for that goal. So again, if the goalie drops the ball, he can no longer pick it back up. He has to use his feet. That's when you rush him. That's when you put him under pressure and take that easy shot. Here comes Henry with that speed. Slows him down. Slows him down again. So, as much as you slow him down, there's going to be times that you get beat. But if you get beat, you can't just watch him. You can't just watch him and think, oh man, he beat me. He's going to score. You got to jump back into action. You got to be able to jump back into action if you get beat. Again, not ready. Pacer had the ball, goalie kick. Nobody was ready for him. So Pacer, if you're watching this, you gotta tell him to get ready. You can't just pass it to him blind. If you need short, you could get a first or second touch with somebody and then play off the back. Once you play off the back, you draw the blue team in and then you make the pass. Something that we gotta work on. Again, goalie put the ball down. Something that we gotta work on. No big deal. We'll recover from that. We'll learn from that. Again, my right field, empty. Able to get a good shot in. The ball's still in play. We gotta do a better job of getting the pass to somebody who's open instead of just giving the possession back to the blue team. So that's a great play. He saw we were in danger. He cleared the ball. But are we back in position to cover? Because they're about to throw the ball in. What are we doing to regain possession? Are we waiting for them to get possession, or are we gonna fight for possession again? You can't take your time on these throw-ins, on these corner kicks. Here's another prime example of that. The ball went out of bounds, and then we go back to relaxing. You can't just relax. I had to tell somebody, hey, are you gonna cover blue? Eli came, jumped in, but at the end of the day, it can't just be one person covering two people. You gotta be able to have plenty of people for whoever you need to cover. If you need backup, you need to be able to ask backup. We shouldn't leave these shots for Pacer to cover every single time. Again, Pacer has the ball. Are we in position? Are we ready for what's about to happen? Are we facing the ball? Are we ready to receive the ball? So Eli is going to be our designated kicker for our direct, indirect, penalty kicks, maybe some corner kicks. I gotta find somebody who I'm gonna designate for our corner kicks. But just to give you the reason why I'm choosing Eli is Eli's been with the club for a while. He's he's proven, you know, plenty of times that he could get the ball to the back of the net. He's got a strong leg. I've got other kids with the strong leg, but he's been proven to be a bit more accurate. So moving forward, I'll be talking to the kids, and we'll set something up. But you're gonna have to work hard for that position. Uh, I'll say it now, and I've said it before, and I'll keep saying it. If you could prove to me that you're more accurate than Eli, that you're gonna put in the hard work, then for sure, I'll give you that spot as designated kicker. And as of right now, he's a designated kicker for our direct, indirect, and penalty kicks. If he's not on the field, Pacer is taking the penalty kicks, but I don't want him out of position for the direct and indirect. And I'll go, you know, I'll play it day by day or game by game. So if y'all haven't noticed, I changed the speed just a little bit because I wanted to keep it right under 25 minutes. So the game is actually sped up just a little bit. So we regained possession of the ball. All those cleat fell off. We regained possession, but are we immediately going into back into position, or are we gonna let the blue team get in position and then we follow behind them? That makes a huge difference. Instead of just kicking the ball to, kicking the ball blindly, we've got to do a better job of being in a position where we can receive the ball and make a play happen. So that last play right there, Henry got the ball to Cole. Cole made the right pass down the middle where the striker should be. Unfortunately, the striker wasn't paying attention, and he missed out on an easy shot. So as a striker, you got to constantly be paying attention to the ball. I give you very simple instructions, which is don't let the defense touch the ball, and as soon as that goalie touches the ball or drops the ball, rush them to try and get something out of them. So as a striker, everybody wants to be a striker. It's one of the positions that everybody wants. So the fact that I've got more than one person wanting to fight for that position, you're gonna have to be on top of your game and really show that you want to be in that position. Because if you're gonna be sleeping on the job, then I'll sub you out and I'll find somebody who's gonna be willing to put in that hard work. Again, we regain possession, and we're walking back to get in our positions. I think here, yep, oh no, this goalie had a habit of dropping the ball and playing from his feet, and we gave him an easy goal. So that goes back to what I was saying before. It gets too crowded in the back line, and it doesn't play in our favor because one person says, "Hey, it's you." The other person says, "Hey, it's you," without actually communicating, and nobody actually says, "Hey, it's me, it's me, it's me." You cover. So that that goes to show what happens when you don't communicate. But I got the next video coming up soon. There's a bit change of pace, but unfortunately, it wasn't what we expected.